All right, we are in. How you doing, Sebastien?
Very good. Very good. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for swinging by. You're a busy man. You're hard to catch.
Yes, me and my team travel a lot. We used to joke about, our life is in a suitcase, and it is the case. It's trying to, be in several places at the same time. It's a trick of the trade, and we try to be these people, but sometimes there is conflicts.
Well, you work for William Grant & Sons,
I
which is one of the largest alcohol brands in the world.
Yes, it is, and it keeps us busy. We're doing many events, tasting, seminar, all across the countries. And when you look after a country like the US, it's pretty vast. There is a lot of great cities, a lot of places to go. So we basically traveling 50% of the time, I will say. Yeah, it's sometimes it can be a little bit more, but if you count the days, actually, no, you don't want to do that. Actually, it's enjoyable, but it is a lot of days that you spend in your hotel room, and it's a lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, but in the U.S. specifically, like there's so many events.
Yes.
And sporting events. I know you guys are involved in a lot of sporting events. There's other kinds of events and other tastings. Like you said, the U.S. is just massive and vast.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in a scale, it's funny, we were talking about Australia before. And if you think about Australia in terms of size compared to the US, it's quite equivalent. But if you look in terms of activities, working for a company, like I used to work with William Grant & Sons in Australia, and now in the US, you have so much more going on. Because in Australia, it will be 2-3 main cities. Here, you can find 2-3 main cities just in one state.
Yeah.
So there's always something going on.
That's wild. And you're headquartered out of New York, you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
New York.
So, I mean, how do you get to work and do events and do marketing for like one of the biggest alcohol companies in the world? Like, where does that journey even begin?
It began as a bartender, funny enough. And I think a lot of story when I talk to people, interesting story, started as a bartender. Living in LA, you meet a lot of them who are just behind the bar by just happen randomly or by necessity, but then you have that whole extra story going on about this is where I started and this is where I am now. For me, it started a bit that way as well too. I went to London and started to find myself and to try to basically, originally when I tell my mom, it was I need to learn English. I had a diploma on computer engineering back in the days, and a lot of the information you get, even in forum and stuff like that, when you're stuck into trying to generate code, it's all in English. So I was like, I need to learn English properly, and the only way to do it is to go immerse myself into an English country. So I went to London through a program. I'm originally from south of France, by the way.
Okay. Where in the south of France?
Close to Montpellier,
okay.
Around the Mediterranean, about an hour from Spain. That's where I grew up.
That's beautiful. I went to a photography festival once in Perpignan.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, Perpignan is about halfway from a little village, Nissan-les-Thames. That's where I grew up. 3,000 inhabitants. Not much to do over there besides playing soccer, rugby, or drinking at one of the 2 bars that you have in town, and that's about it. Yeah.
The south of France is beautiful. Like the farther you get away from like Nice and Monaco, the better the south of France gets.
Yeah. Because you got a bit more of that natural vibe. It's a little bit less. It's funny when you ask people like, I'm from south of France. Oh, where about? From Monaco, Nice, or Cannes. It's like, well, Monaco is not France originally. Technically, it's a kingdom. But yeah, Nice and Cannes is always the one who came back because it's a glamorous part of south of France. It's the one people know when they want to travel because it's fancy, right? I come from the more grounded blue-collar part of south of France where people make wine because they need to pay the bills with it, instead of making high-quality stuff, very fancy stuff. It's a bit more quantity.
Yeah. But that must have been lovely because you still have the Mediterranean, you still have the Mediterranean lifestyle, you still have the Mediterranean weather, you just don't have the glitz and the glamour.
Yeah, you do. You have the best of both worlds. But, some people like the fancy stuff, so that's why they tend to spend more time in Saint-Tropez and Cannes. If you can afford it, sure, it's great. But if you want a similar experience and still, live the life of, and experience the food and the community and the sense of, I don't know, it's so relaxing in south of France. Just try that part a little bit close to Spain and you'll find very authentic people for half the price.
Maybe even more than half the price.
Yes, definitely.
I was in Cannes last May for the film festival. Yeah, because I do a lot of stuff in entertainment. So it was really a wild.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
I love it. I spent some time in Marseille as well too.
Mm-hmm.
That more closer to Italy. A crazy city. It's one of my favorite. My soccer team is actually over there too. So I'm very biased, but I study over there.
Oh, that's where you went to university?
Yeah, I went to university as well over there.
Yeah, and that's where you did your computer science degree.
Yes. After I finished Montpellier, I went to work and it didn't really work out. So I decided to do an extra year and specialize myself a little bit in something I didn't really love. This is how I ended up in London, just because I was like, this is not working. Even after Marseille, I was like, this is not working. So let's try to learn English. Maybe that's going to help me. And bartending saved my life.
It's so fucked up. Higher education is like a real mess, isn't it?
It's very difficult because when you look at it, you're asked to take a very big decision on your future when you're 18 years old, basically, and you don't know much. I mean, I look back, I didn't know much when I was 18. I was just trying to figure out. You look at your parents, you look at your friend, what they do, and you're looking for a job who pay well and kind of secure, and what do you do? And it's complicated, man. So you pick, and sometimes you pick something that just because, you know.
I when I graduated, I didn't have a big problem with university because I played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went for sports.
Yeah.
And I learned a little along the way, but I got through because of my sports, basically. But then when I graduated, I did exactly what you did. I looked all around, and I was looking for like a job that someone had that I liked, or like a mentor or someone who, and I didn't find any. And then I just moved to China.
Right. Well, this is it. You know what? And this is kind of like crazy decision in a way. Just change your life forever and for the best. For me, it was just going to London, trying to figure it out, trying to find a job. Obviously, you go and work in a restaurant because that's the only thing you can do without, be able to speak if you work in the background. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly I grab a shaker and I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like, that interaction with the people and making drinks, suddenly I fell in love with that position. And then, yeah, I'm very glad I did, because now I look back and it used years and years of amazing experience in travel, and it's been a lot of fun.
Took you on a whole different journey.
Yes, yeah. Definitely a whole different journey. The one that my mom doesn't like much, because I say I'll be back in 6 months, and it's been 20 years. So
20 years of living.
Yeah. 20 years of living and bouncing around from London to Australia to the US.
So you go to London, and the only job you can get, is a bartender. You're working on your English. I think bartending is really great. Like, I've done some charity events where I bartend, and I love the interaction, getting to meet all the people and stuff like that, which is lovely. I mean, how long did you do that? And when did you kind of decide like that was not enough for you?
I've did that for a few years. I started at the back, like I say, in a background in a restaurant, because my English was so bad. I was very lucky, actually. In London, I was working in little coffee shops making of like how did they call that? They wanted their coffee. When you make the coffee with the milk and everything, they wanted something. The old lady wanted something super hot but no burn. It's a very fine line between your milk between super hot and no burn. Okay. I was burning everything, so it didn't work out for me. And then my flatmate at the time in London, was like coming back with that list of a crazy name of people he was serving, and I was like, "What do you mean you met such and such? What do you mean you saw that famous person?" I'm like, "Where are you working? Like, I'm making coffee for old lady, and you're just killing it over there." He was working for Nobu Restaurant.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
really?
In Park Lane, one of the original one in London. Before now he became the chain that we all know. And he said, they're looking for some people if you want to join in, like on the ground, just carrying trays. And I'm like, let's go. I did the interview and he went through, and he was fantastic. Like, think about it again, from someone who came from a small village in south of France, 3,000 inhabitants. Suddenly I'm walking around in that. It was early 2000 when you walk around in that restaurant and you're serving Bruce Willis, Angelina Jolie, Will Smith, all those people, like, and all the sports star, and you're like, it's like a movie.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
That is wild.
Yeah. And to get that chance to jump behind the bar later on and just doing the morning shift and then be able to interact with those guests down the track, it was fascinating, because for me it was like I'm living someone else's life. That's the stuff I grew up watching on. The people I grew up watching on TV, and suddenly I'm I'm talking to them directly. It was incredible.
That's what London is, though, right?
Yeah. And the fact that I did this was a terrible English. Like my accent was. I mean, I could barely actually have a proper discussion. It's laughable. I had a story about Bruce Willis. I made his drink totally wrong once, and that's pretty funny.
Did he thrash you?
He didn't. He came at the bar, and he was a complete crazy moment because I was not supposed to serve this type of people at the beginning. I had always someone with me, and I was just making drinks in the background, like say, before I can really interact with those people. And it was the end of the night, and the guy on charge just left. He was Italian guy, low smoking. Was like, I really need to go for a cigarette break, and I gotta get the trash out. But the night is over now. Everyone is signing off. You're good. And as soon as he left the bar, he passed the corridor. Literally, he passed one like column they have, and he passed that column, and suddenly Bruce Willis just walked like straight in and turned towards me and started walking behind, like to the bar. He wanted an extra drink when we actually closed, and I panicked. I couldn't call him because it was already too far, and so I just concentrate and looked very suave and ready to serve. And hi, sir, what would you like? It's like I'd like a vodka and Sprite. And
that's not a very Bruce Willis kind of drink.
No, it was a Grey Goose and Sprite actually. But the thing is, you don't realize you ask for a Sprite here in America, which means you basically want a lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
A lemonade here, it's for you guys. It's something which is fresh lemon and water or soda, right?
Yeah.
But a lemonade in America, in the UK, is like a brand, but we don't call it Sprite. So I understood he wanted a spray or something. So I was like, oh, I served my Grey Goose, giving some ice, and I was like, and the spray of what? And he was like, a Sprite. And with a very strong American accent, I'm like, a spray of what? Like a spray. He was like, oh, and he get annoyed, reach over the bar, grab the lemonade, the can of lemonade, and pour himself his drink and walk away. And I was devastated.
But that's an end of the night story.
Yeah, it was. I never told that story to my guy when he came back. He was like, how was it? I was like, great. Everything fantastic. Yeah, everything went well.
So how long were you at Nobu for?
Actually, a couple of years. A little bit less than a couple of years because my flatmate in London offered me another job to work in a nightclub. And I saw it was the greatest thing ever. It was just one of these brand new, crazy nightclub in Tottenham Court Road. And I went there a couple of times to have fun. And I was like, that looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just jumped in, and that also changed my life because I met my wife over there,
mm-hmm.
who is Australian. And long story got short, I ended up in Australia. Next step, boom.
Wow.
After 3 years, in London, that person just changed my life again, and I ended up in Australia.
Yeah, because the UK and Australia have like this visa program where if you're like under 30 years old, you can come for like a 2-year visa.
That's correct.
And work, and everyone ends up working in the bars and the nightclubs. Like everyone is Australian.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's like, and this is why in London was such the corner of the world, really, not only Europe, like the world. Everyone used to go there. Now it's a little bit harder with Brexit. Obviously, they kind of wrecked that system where every people from Europe could come in freely and work. But, people from Australia, had this, but in Canada as well, too. The Commonwealth Agreement where, if you're less than 30 years old, you can jump in and have fun for a couple of years.
That's amazing. So you're working at a nightclub.
Mm-hmm.
You graduate from Nobu to a nightclub, and you end up meeting your wife.
Yep.
Okay, so you meet your wife, you're dating, you get married. When do you decide to move to Australia?
We moved pretty much straight away because she felt pregnant, and then we made the decision of like, we either raising that kids in the UK or we go back to France or Australia. The UK was not really an option because I was having a good time, but I was not making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I was basically broke, to be honest. And going to France, my wife didn't speak English and French, sorry. And I was like, well, Australia sounds like fun, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sounds like fun, but it was very challenging at the beginning because moving on the other side of the world, knowing nobody and with no money,
mm-hmm.
I literally like sent a suitcase over and on a ship, arrived like 3 months later of my closing, and my bank account was very low. Meeting my father-in-law for the first time was a very interesting encounter. I think he was not very impressed, to be honest.
And which city did you end up living in?
Brisbane in Queensland.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be the most beautiful part. That's the whole like Gold Coast area, right?
It's nice, it's hot, but that's the thing. People think it's Gold Coast, but it's not. The Gold Coast is actually about an hour drive from Brisbane. So Brisbane is that major city in Queensland. But on the beach, actually, you still need to drive an hour, even sometime more, to be on the beach. So it's just hot.
It's just hot.
Just hot and humid. And when I arrived over there years ago, so 17 years ago, the bar industry was not great at all. It was basically a couple of cocktail bar, maybe 3. 2 of them doing very well, but I'm not talking about small spaces. Then the cocktail scene was rubbish. So I went from, Nobu, working in other bar on the side, and then nightclubs, and I did Mambas Club as well too. So I've been very lucky in London, very fortunate. And I arrived in Queensland, it was nothing. So the scene was just as infancy. So it was very hard.
Yeah,
making money at that myself many times.
I went through the Brisbane airport once. That's my claim to fame for your story.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, soon people are going to go there for real because they got the Olympics. So they're building for that. They're going to host the next Summer Olympics. Yeah.
After LA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
So they're already starting to work on it as we speak. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that's wild. I had to fly from Sydney to Brisbane and then from Brisbane to Papua New Guinea.
Right.
I did some filming in Papua New Guinea back in the day. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Queensland is a great place. People will fly there. I mean, if you want to reach the Great Barrier Reef and stuff like that, I mean, it's amazing. Like, it's the thing. Like Brisbane is, it's if you like the heat and the humidity, it's fine. But I think Queensland as a state got so much more to offer because of the rainforest and because the most beautiful beach I ever seen in my life. This is what the real Queensland has to offer. It's all that adventure and nature that is truly incredible. It's a beautiful place.
So how long did you last in Brisbane?
3 years until I had to tap out and go and work in Sydney because Sydney was where the work was, and I run restaurant and bars actually in Brisbane. Did pretty. I mean, I did this very successfully because by necessity I understood that if I was not going 200% and participating in competition, for example, to win trophy behind the bar and all that, I wouldn't go nowhere. People didn't want to trust me. It was very difficult, and and I was kind of alone, like the new guys in town, and people were like, well, if you want to get your name out there and people to be interested in offer you jobs, you need to start to do competition, which I didn't like. It's not really my thing. But then I had a baby on the way, so I understood that if I don't do that, I'm gonna end up pouring beers in a pub, or I have to change my job again. And I didn't want to do that because I love that job. So I did this, and I did it pretty successfully to the point that I won a couple of competition, and I won even an awards while running a bar in Brisbane, the best bar manager of the year, which is amazing. And then the offer starting to obviously come, and that's why we moved to Sydney.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So it's funny that your career started off in service, right? Serving alcohol.
Yeah.
And then eventually you started working for the big companies.
Yeah. Because there's two options when you get to that certain point is either you start to own your own business because, it's so much you can do for others. It's a very, tiring job. And as you all know, if you've been working with the bar, it's crazy hours and it's very physical and demanding. So you want to start to make your own money and make it your own. Or at the time, you go work for a brand. It looks great. You just still to bartend a little bit, talk about products. But you get to step out of the bar, which is, the long nights and, breaking your back, carrying cases and just refilling fridges and all that. There is a fun part about bartending, but there's also the other part about tidying it up and organizing everything and the stock tech and all that. It's yeah.
And now you're working for a brand and you got to do fucking podcasts.
Yeah, but it's great. Come on.
So when did the move into the was William Grant and Sons your first move into the brand business?
It was actually 13 years ago now. Yeah. It's crazy.
So you joined them in Australia?
Yeah, I joined them in Australia. Yeah. Which was and again it was very random. It was a time in my life where again, like I said, you get tired, and I remember seeing the advertisement online because I started looking. And I love those products. I love Hendrix. I even stock it when I was working in London. The Glenfiddich range, amazing. So I was like, well, if I have to do it, I want to do it for a product that I love. And it was a whiskey specialist gig at the time. So not a great gig, honestly. It was an agency work as well too. So I really went through kind of the back door. But it was just, I don't know, it just felt right. So I took it, did this for a year. It was just getting involved in a couple of states in Australia, selling the product and doing seminars. A very slow start, but I had in my mind that all the great ambassador I was looking up to, I just kind of like trying to be inspired through what they do and trying to be proactive in doing my thing. And I think it worked, because then the company, when the Hendrix role became vacant, they just offered it to me. And that was a much bigger role at the time. It was looking after Australia, New Zealand, and basically the Pacific Islands.
That's amazing, because gin is huge.
Yeah, gin is huge, and gin, like Hendrix in Australia, was already very well established. So it was a big gig. It was their bigger brand, it still is today. So yeah, I felt very privileged and very pumped, and I did this for 3 years. I always had a passion for traveling. And because of Hendrix, the brand world, not only the liquid is amazing, but the brand world they created, which is, quirky, kind of like just being playful and exploring, different, it just brought me to the past when I'm like, oh my God, I can make some cool events now, because you have a bit of budget. There is stuff that they want you to create, and you're like, this is awesome space, because I love traveling. I've always been, in that mindset of like, let's go and explore. And I did the trip that you'll enjoy, because you're a well-known traveler. I went to Vanuatu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Vanuatu is this little island on the Pacific Islands where nobody knows about Vanuatu, actually, because it's not really a holiday destination. And the reason is the infrastructure are not great. But the island is amazing. The island of Vanuatu is a series of islands, right? You got Tanna, the main island, as you probably know. Tanna is one of the small islands from the Vanuatu country, and Tanna have one of the most active volcanoes in the world. It's always, spitting lava, and because it's so kind of like run free over there, you can drive and stand on top of the volcano and just look at it spitting lava.
There's no one there to stop you?
No, there's no one to stop you. It's incredible.
No one to sue if you fall in?
No. There's no one to do. I mean, if you fall, you're done. I mean, people just like, because it's nothing. It's just, Tanna is so raw. And they still have tribes over there still living like, the Stone Age, just, out of like little wooden houses organized as small villages, no technology, no nothing, because they've been colonized in a way, but never fully, to the point like it's just left like that. So it's untouched, it's raw. And I was able to organize a trip with bartenders to Vanuatu to celebrate the explorer world and doing little things around the Hudson Punch. And I organized this incredible journey where we connected with the local tribe. We exchanged gifts very respectfully. And then we were able to visit the volcano and see Hendrix Hudson Punch looking at lava spitting away. It was incredible.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
So there might be a lot of people out there who aren't alcoholics and who might not know all of the brands that William Grant & Sons have. So we've got the whiskey brands, the gin brands. Can you just run through them quickly?
Yeah, we got whiskey brand, we got gin. So like I said before, we have Glenfiddich, we have the Balvenie single malts. We have also Monkey Shoulder malt whiskey, which is made for mixing. We have Cellar Jerry Spice Rum. People will know that very well here in the US. We have also like other liquor like Drambuie, Solerno, Blood Orange liquor. We have Reka vodka, and we have Milagro tequila.
And Hendrix.
Yeah, Hendrix. Yeah. And Hendrix is like, now, it used to be just one SKU, but now we have like several versions of Hendrix, because we decided to create something different, every year. So now there is a whole selection of Hendrix out there.
So I'm a huge single malt whiskey fan, and I try to go to Speyside in northern Scotland quite often to like do the distillery tour and stuff like that. And like Glenfiddich whiskey and Balvenie whiskey are by far two of my favorites.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate that. This is honestly like the expertise going into the whiskey, and you talk to Brian Kinsman, and you see the people behind the brand. It's fantastic. I'm a big promoter of like, craft spirits and always welcome new brands, but you also have to pay respect to the people who have been in the game for, 100+ years. And is a reason why they've been in the game for so long, because the liquid and the innovation they brought to the category itself, it's the respect in this area. It's amazing. I mean, Brian Kissman is one of them, but David Stewart, who used to be
at Balvenie.
At Balvenie, I mean, he is a sir. He was recognized by the Queen itself as he changed the industry completely.
He has 50. What he did that for 50 years or 40 years. His name is on the Balvenie.
Yeah, it's like, and now he's just like a honorific ambassadors. You know, he passed on the torch, but it's incredible how those people were able to change the category itself with new innovation and the liquid they do. It's so good.
So I was at the Balvenie distillery in Speyside with my dad, and you can book a tour, right? So we booked a tour, and there were two other gentlemen from London who were there, also on holiday. So there were four of us, and we got a tour of the whole distillery, and then we came back for the tasting, right?
Yep.
So you get a distillery tour, and then you come back and you get that nice little board, and you get like six glasses, and each glass has a different age or a different mix, and then we did the tasting, and then the tour guide that day, he said, "Oh, and I just noticed it's one of your birthdays today," and it wasn't my birthday or my dad's birthday, but one of the guys from London was turning 40, and this was his like 40th birthday gift, and the guide from Balvenie says, "Well, we have a deal at Balvenie. If you do a distillery tour on your birthday, you get to drink your age." So, and my dad and I got a free ride on this. So we went back into the distillery, found a 40-year-old Balvenie, put in the dropper, poured 4 little drams, and we just drank in this little distillery around this barrel of 40-year-old and it was magic.
It's the best way to drink single malt. You can't beat that. It's like flying business class. You know, once you've done it, you just don't want to go back. I mean, you can be the comfort of your home and enjoying the single malt, but when you're at the warehouse with the smells, it's magical.
It really is. It's quite special, and
that's a good treat.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. I mean, right now, if you want to get a sip on that 40 years old, it will cost you a penny, and it's actually not that difficult. Sorry, it's actually difficult to find.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that Hendrick's is coming out with a whole different range of stuff, because I think like the single malt whiskeys have done this for years. Like you have the 12, the 15, the 18, the 21, and then you also have all these different variations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's good that gins are starting to get into that.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's mind-blowing for me. Well, like I say, when I started representing Hendrick's, when you think about it, the brand, people think it's been around forever, but it's been around since 1999. And if you look back at 1999, if you were old enough to drink back then, if you look at the gin industry, it was very limited options out there. It was only a handful of brands available, all mostly British, and the craft industry is in infancy. And Hendrick's came out with this weird-looking bottles and saying, put a cucumber instead of a lemon and a lime, and people were like, what's going on here? Like using cucumber, like roses, like it was crazy back then, but it worked because it was so different, and the way they broke the mold of like gin was seen as something like your grandfather or you will drink, something kind of like so old-fashioned with the tonic and the lime or the lemon. Unless you really grew up in England, then gin was not like interesting really.
Yeah, but before 99, it was only like what, Beefeater.
Yeah, you got Beefeater, Tanqueray and stuff like that. But that was it. And then when Hendrick's came up with this and the cucumber served, he actually brought a whole new like range of consumer to the gin world, and that was amazing. It's not only for the brand but for the category itself. And then other brands started to jump in with new innovation and stuff like that. And now I can't even keep up how many gins brands are out there. I mean, you can go to a liquor store and you can get lost. Like,
well, the famous Canadian has his aviation gin.
Yep. Yeah. That's right.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. But that was not started by him originally. And that's to show you how big gin became, because they decided to buy that brand because it's got some legs now. Gin is the thing. Like people are really drinking it and in quantity, and it just became cool again.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you're in Australia. You're working and you're managing the entire Hendrick's brand, which is huge. Where do you go from there?
You go to America.
Like all famous Australians.
You go and explore. That's it. Australia is amazing. But again, I always had that exploring kind of mentality. I find it hard to stay in one spot for too long. And again, it happened randomly. Stuff in life happen to you. Opportunities come to you. You have to grab them, and that's a big lesson I will take from my journey. And I'll tell everyone who want to listen to. And when the world is telling you something, it's for a reason. If there's something happening, grab it, do it. Don't look back, because it's amazing. For me, I took a few gambles in my life and changing countries and like leaving everything behind. It's not easy, but once you do it and you do it successfully, it's so rewarding. And I've done the same with Australia. I was very well established. I had a great job. I was living comfortably, but that was not good enough. And I had 2 kids then. So 2 young kids. So I was like, nobody would like to live that lifestyle, to go in New York in America and jump in that mess, because New York City, it's a beast, as you probably know. But that role was there. It was the East Coast ambassador role for Hendrix, and I talked to my wife. I was like, kids are still young. I'll put my name in the ring, and if he works out, then maybe we'll think about it, right? And he worked out, and I was like, oh shit, okay, well, let's do it. But like 2 years, right? We'll put everything in storage, and everything will be there when we come back. It was just an experience of a lifetime. Let's do it. And almost 10 years later, I'm still here, bouncing around from one city to the next. Yeah.
So what was it like moving from Sydney to New York with the brand?
It was crazy.
Yeah,
it was absolutely crazy. If there's a saying, when you live in New York City, when you see the tourists, they're always walking slow and looking in the air like that, because you just look at the building and everything. And that was me at the beginning. And after a while, you just head down. You're like, move. Like, it's just because you become a New Yorker. You're like, come on, hurry up. I got places to be and people to see. It's a massive learning curve, because New York is so tough. It's incredible. It's very exciting. But living in New York is tough. I was living in Australia comfortably in Sydney in a house, and you move to New York, and you're lucky if you find a tiny apartment. And I say lucky because at the beginning it's so hard. It's like the chicken and egg situation. Is like, you need an apartment, but to have an apartment, you need a good credit. But when you're a foreigner, you don't have a good credit. If you want a good credit, you need a credit card. But to get a credit card, you need a good credit.
I still don't have a credit card. I've been here for a year.
Yeah. So I don't know. So you're like, wait, so what am I supposed to do? So it's crazy. You end up finding a place, and it's a shoebox, and then you start questioning yourself, like, what did I do? Like, what did I have to, like,
you've entered the jungle.
Yeah. You look at your family, and you're sitting on the box and an empty apartment because you got no furniture, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be okay, And again, you throw yourself in the deep end. You get to learn, your environment, and you start enjoying it, and you work hard. You start to push creativity and doing all the cool stuff, and you work that, and then you get better position, and then it's all fine.
I love this. I love how these alcohol brands, specifically, I guess William Grant and Sons, like how you guys have these like ambassadors. So you have people in every country that that carry the brand, that do the events, that network, that do the tastings. That it's basically an education process. Like, this is why you guys should sort of appreciate this 18-year-old Glenfiddich or this 21-year-old Balvenie. Like, these have been through the war to perfect, right? And this is why this tastes like this, and this is why the quality is like that. And it's such a beautiful job.
Man, thank you. It's I feel very fortunate, and I'm very grateful to be able to do that. You're the face of the brand, like you say. You're here to tell the story, and the story has to be told in some of those products. It's amazing. The people behind these products are fantastic. Hendrix is always a lot of fun, but when you go to the whiskey, it's like talking about the heritage and like you say, like the time that liquid spent in the cask, and then someone come and select it and all that, and there is beauty behind this, but it's always tricky because there is competition out there, and we're not the only people to do that. So the ambassador and the program I run now it's about just bringing a little bit of magic, to the fold. And for this, you need the right team, you need the right mindset, and people who are a little bit entrepreneur, who would like to create something differently and actually, manage projects. And that's what I try to give to my team, and to, that philosophy, that mindset about like, you're not just here to tell the story and look pretty during a seminar or a podcast. You, you're here to...
there needs to be some knowledge in that head.
Yeah, knowledge, and to create things. You have to create opportunity. You know, it's everything is about creating opportunity for yourself, for the brand, and be out there and creating magic. But you have to push the envelope. You can just sit back and wait for someone to tell you, hey, you have to be there tomorrow, and make sure you say all the right key messages. It's so much bigger than that.
So when you first moved to New York, what kind of events did you have to do? What was the Hendrix brand at that stage looking like in the US?
Some of my first events were like we were playing curling, and
that's a Canadian sport.
Okay. Well, the story is because Elisa Bay, which is this big like rocky island next to Govan, where Hendrix actually made it in the town of Govan. Which is a wonderful little town at about an hour from Glasgow. Not much happened there, but it's still wonderful. And
I didn't know Hendrix was also Scottish.
Yeah, it's Scottish. Yeah, it's also Scottish. And that rock is actually where from what curling is made.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They use that specific rocks to make the curling rocks. So you had this link to the rocks to Govan to the curling. So we were doing curling tournament. It was very funny. It was in Brooklyn on that, patinoire in French. How you call it?
Like a little pond.
Ice rink. Yeah.
Ice rink.
Yeah, ice rink in winter. Yeah. It was so cool. That was one of our first things. Very cold because coming from Australia, I was freezing, but it was a lot of fun. And I learned curling is actually so much fun. Have you played curling before?
I've tried it once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it good?
I had fun. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. People don't realize, like, even you get into the brushing, like for the curling to go faster. Yeah. Even if you have that role, you get into it. It's a mission, like it's cool.
That's amazing though that Hendrix is from a small town outside of Glasgow where they make the curling rocks, and then you made that connection to put together a curling event.
Yeah. And now we go the extra mile. Then we invite bartenders to go and do a distillery tour. We take them to a local ice rink next to Govan, and they get to be taught how to play curling by an Olympic champion from Scotland.
Wow.
Actually run that, ice rink thing. Yeah, so, we go the extra mile. It's cool.
I love the stories.
Yeah. We're full of stories. We link shit like, it's crazy. Talking about adventure again, I even took Bench of Bartender in Alaska in the US, and we did this explorer tour. Like, it was incredible. And we participated into the Hot House race, the annual Hot House race in winter, which is happening in Anchorage in Alaska. So it's basically people taking this shit house, putting ski underneath it, and they push it around the circuit in the streets of Anchorage during winter.
That's a thing?
It's a thing. It's an annual thing, and it's for real. And we actually took one of the shit house. We put a lot of like decoration around it and make it look like, very Hendrixy. And we participated in the race, and we didn't win, obviously, but people are a little bit more well-trained than we are. It's a tough job, Two people pushing, and one have to be sitting on the
toilet.
Yeah. It's great. We did that, stuff like that. It's great. It's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the biggest event that William Grant & Sons sponsors? Are you guys in? I'm not too familiar. Like, are you guys in F1? Are you guys doing golf? Are you guys doing?
It depends. If you look at festivals, like we sponsor festival. We actually participate into festivals. So we have a bar, and with Hendrix, we never go like we come with a bar. We have what we call a street storage bar, which is a very tall thing with people on top, like actors doing silly things, and we pour drink from the bottom. It's an amazing thing. You can see it from so far. But we do festival like Bottle Rock. We participating with Glenfiddich in Formula One, F1 Formula One, and also wise we do big events like on-trade event like Tales of Cocktails, which is our biggest one when we come down to like, interacting with bartenders from all around the world coming to New Orleans once a year. So things like that. Yeah,
that's amazing. I remember. So just like there's so many stories around. Like I'm just gonna go into whiskey a little bit because I love whiskey, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many great stories if you're a whiskey lover around like when you had your first whiskey, like who introduced it to you, like when you kind of first fell in love with that. And I remember I was chatting with Brian Kinsman. He's obviously the malt master for Glenfiddich, so I was stuck in Istanbul during COVID. So in March 2020, when the world closed, I was in Ethiopia.
Oh.
And then I couldn't really go anywhere. So I wanted to get out of Ethiopia. So I ended up going to Istanbul, Turkey. And then I was there for 4 months doing nothing. So that was kind of when I started podcasting. But at that stage, I was doing like Instagram live chats with like people all around the world, like some friends, some new people. But I'd been following Brian for quite a while, and I knew he was the mall master, and I loved whiskey, and it was like COVID time, and I was drinking all the time because there was nothing to do. So I ended up having this beautiful, and he was telling me that he first got into whiskey because he was a bagpiper. And they would do like some bagpiping events and stuff like that, and then afterwards they would have a little whiskey.
Right.
So that kind of got him into it when he was a kid. How crazy is that?
Yeah. I mean, you look at in Scotland, they kind of like they're born in it, right? It's just they fall into whiskey from a very young age. But you know, it's the good thing is like they so humble about it. You know, like if you look at Brian Kinsman, he's like one of the greatest master distiller of all time now. Like he's already proved himself and again and again, and you talk to him and it's just like he'll be happy to sit at the pub and have a regular whiskey. He doesn't. The people think like that guy's been drinking 50 years old all night long. Like they don't care. It's just like, you know, the regular whiskey, a lot of water in there actually.
Sometimes
a lot of dilution in there. You know, they rarely drink it like neat like that, and they're just happy. A beer on the side and that's it. Done.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Simple life. Yeah, it's crazy. And this guy's managed like tons of like stocks and particular barrels, and it's crazy. Their responsibility is incredible.
And they're constantly coming up with new blends and new ideas.
Always
new creations.
Come up with new things. Yeah, definitely. They're putting something out and they're already being worked. Because you think about it, they have to lay down those products like years before. So they like 10 step ahead of anything you think about, because it's already working on it. They're already laying down that product.
I feel like 25, 30 years ago, no one cared about single malt whiskey outside of Scotland. And now all of a sudden, like, it's just been huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to consumers as well too, how well educated people are now. It's incredible to see that how much knowledge people have in whiskey, in cocktails. And I think even during COVID, it's even worse because, like I said, people were bored and staying at home. And I think they started to make their own drinks. So now they started to self-educate themselves, watching videos. And because people like us have nothing to do as well, we made a lot of videos. So it was a lot of content available online. And now the people, like, they're just, is it very well educated. So actually push the envelope for the better, because now they're really looking for that next thing, that, you know, that new innovation product. And we used to sit back and drink blended scotch with Coke when I grew up. And I think the kids now, I call them the kids, but like the choice is a little bit more elaborate. Yeah.
It's funny, sometimes if I'm traveling abroad or something like that, you go to a place like India, or you go to a place like Indonesia or wherever, and you'll go to the bar and ask for like a double of a single malt with neat, right?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, "Oh, do you want some Coke in that?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I grew up with, like, drinking scotch. It's like, you're mixing with Coke. If you were drinking neat, people are like, "Whoa, just being tough," you know, like, be like, it's just you mix it. It's okay. But actually, if you mixing with, like, I mean, you can the thing is, like, you can drink it the way you want it, right? You enjoy it the way you want it, as long as you enjoy it. But having it with soda, for example, the highball version, like Japanese whiskey are pushing that a lot, you know, with the highball, Japanese highball, which is the thing. It's very refreshing and it's very nice. Like, it doesn't have to be drinking neat and get all those rules in it. It's up to you.
But there's nothing more refreshing on a hot day than a Hendrix on ice with a cucumber.
Oh yeah. And little tonic water or soda if you like. I even like it with soda. So even a martini on a hot day when it's well made is like, it's great.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to kind of feel comfortable living in New York City?
It took me 3 years. And
are you still trying to figure it out?
No, it was good. No, it took me a few months. It was a battle. And I think the big thing was also not only working at New York, but working at the American system with healthcare, you know, things that people still talk about today. Like, even American people are trying to figure it out. I mean, good luck. Like, I've been here for almost 10 years. Sometimes I'm still trying to figure it out.
Don't get sick.
Oh my God, yeah. How does it work with the insurance? How do you claim things? Like, what's deductible? What do you mean? Like, all that kind of stuff, which is, wild.
It's confusing for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I still talk to people who are American, and they still can't really figure it out. So, doing those things and it was that was confusing. But the thing was the rents and something that apparently kind of like stopped existing a little bit in New York City was the broker fee, which I found very fascinating. It's just the broker fee is basically when you're renting an apartment. Many of you will know in New York City, they make you pay a month of the yearly contract, just to the broker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the person who opened you the door. But that person, it's like a fee that, for example, you would pay to someone who did the research for you and find you that amazing apartment that, you filled that form. But it's not. You found that apartment yourself. You came for a visit, like a house, like open house. And you had to pay that person a month of the rent just for him. And then a month's caution and then a month's up front. And then, so before you even move in the apartment, knowing that it was about $3,000 to move anywhere, it's almost $10,000.
$3,000 for a studio.
Yeah, oh yeah, like a bedroom and a half. And I just got sick of that. So I just tapped out and went to live in Colorado and in Denver for a bit.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, yeah. I always wanted to live in the mountains. That was the story when we met with my wife and we wanted to move to Canada for a while. She's a hairdresser and I was a bartender. I was like, great, we can find a job very easy and go snowboarding, like 6 months of the year will be great. And then she fell pregnant, so we canceled that plan.
Canada's not bad.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but, and we had actually, talking about that visa you were talking about, we got approved and everything. We were...
Already?
Yeah, we were in France during the holiday and planning this, and we applied online, and man, it was like instant. So we're like, great, let's go back to London and save a bit more money, and then we can move there. And then, yeah, things happened, and we went the other side.
But then you ended up with William Grant & Sons.
Yeah, so again, things happen for a reason, right? So, and then full circle, we're still married to the mountains. Not exactly, I mean, still kind of the same, line a little bit if you look at Colorado and Canada, but not exactly the same destination, but it worked out. It was good.
One of the greatest brand integrations I think I've seen with you guys over the last like decade or more is Balvenie. So you guys did an amazing collaboration with Anthony Bourdain, who's one of my favorite television hosts, right? Yeah. And you guys did this handcrafted thing where you made these shows. It's still available, I think, on the Balvenie YouTube channel.
YouTube,
where Bourdain kind of travels around the world, visiting people who are making things by hand, and having this like luxury product, handcrafted, hand cared for, and then mixing that in with how these single malt whiskeys are aged and handcrafted and cared for as well, and putting those two things together with this, that dynamic television host at the time. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but that was one of my absolute favorites that you guys ever did.
He was the greatest match. Yeah. I mean, Anthony Bourdain was kind of like hospitality industry hero. He was like cranky New York chef, but like just, oh God. I mean, I'm sure people already seen some of these Netflix, series and stuff like that. But yeah, that partnership was just the perfect combination of the craft, like you say, of Balvenie and his crazy mindset about. He was basically putting the spotlight on the simple people in a way. People who were doing things the right way, the simple way, and he was very much about enjoying life to the fullest and actually and that's what I like about it. It was about exploring, going into, out of your comfort zone in a way. If you're going to travel, go and do it with the local. Go and do those things. Don't go in a resort and all inclusive and then you've seen nothing of the country. That was very much his philosophy. And the fact he combined this with our craft philosophy was just perfect.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, he definitely inspired me a lot for my television.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. I mean, he inspired me a lot on doing some of the stuff I did, like, for example, in Alaska and that trip I organized with the bartenders, like trying to get into that Alaska mindset and mixing with those people, not just scratching the surface. It was very much about drinking local, eating local. That's what I love about, him. And he was very, and Balvenie is very much about the craft from the local people. We have a story about the people who work on the brand, not only the people like marketing and selling it, it's actually the people at the distillery. We have people like the looking after the cask and looking after the still, and they've been doing this for years, and they're part of the
family.
Part of the family, you know, that was that story.
Well, you said something earlier about like Brian Kinsman and his team, the way they're coming up with new mixes and they're coming up with new products, but it takes years to see them through. And that works because of the job stability, right? Like if you're in America, you know, you have to change jobs every 3 years. Like, but in Scotland, people, you know, they start at Balvenie at 22 and then they retire at Balvenie at 65.
Same, right?
And they stay there their whole life. And I love the fact that, and you could tell when you visit the distilleries, like these people have been there and been around the distillery their entire lives, and they just know everything about the brand.
Yeah, it's crazy. They part of the part of the family. Some of those guys started as a kid. I mean, kid, you know, legal kid, but you know what I mean. And just now they know everything. They know every corner of the distillery, all the stories, and that's what make that place so magical, is because he's got soul, you know. And that's what, when you got it, you see the decor, you see the environment, you watch the distillery, you feel like you're stepping back in time, and then you meet those people, and you're like, I could just wear a costume right now. I feel like I'm 100 years, you know, back. Like, just like, wow, look at this wall and look at everything, the smells, and it's super cool. Yeah,
it's not bad. So when did you move on from the Hendrix brand and start managing more of the William Grant portfolio?
It just happened naturally. I mean, I actually asked, again, one of my crazy moves. I was working on Hendrix, everything was going well, and they have another brand, Monkey Shoulder, that I mentioned before, blended malt that we released in 2000, around 2005. And that brand was kind of there, but no one was really doing anything with it in the US. And they didn't have an ambassador for a couple of years on it. And I was like, hey, I got so much idea on that brand because I launched it when I was a whiskey specialist in Australia, and I know the global ambassador quite well. I could do something. I have an idea, and I'd say, if you want it, it's you're looking for a national ambassador, so you can take it. So I did the move. I became a national ambassador for that brand. We did a lot of programming with the bartender. It was very much focusing about bartenders and playing with your whiskey. What they're saying, it was about stepping away from the single malts, kind of like branding, which is like, don't mix, don't put water, don't put too much ice, don't dilute it. It was like, no, that whiskey is great. It's a blended malt. It's a blend of single malts from Speyside. It's delicious on its own, but it's a price point is good enough that you can mix it, and we want you to mix with it. So I had a lot of fun with that and doing festival and all that. And I think I did so well that they asked me back on the Hendrix team to then manage all the ambassador, because it was 3 ambassadors across the country, and they asked me to come back on Hendrix to manage the ambassadors. And then the role of managing the entire portfolio as leader of the advocacy program came along, and I got that one too. So it's been a nice step. That's what I say. Sometimes it's to my people, it's like, you gotta be willing to do side steps sometime to be able to take a step forward, right? It's not always gonna be, I mean, if it's always a step forward, then good on you. But sometimes you just have to maybe do a side steps, learn something else, and then you can jump in.
Come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to challenge yourself though, because if you stay on that comfort zone, then it can take a little bit longer. It might happen, but it might just take triple the time.
Yeah, taking a side step is nice because you definitely pick up new skills and new people, right? And that's so important.
Yeah, and it's challenging yourself as well too. Like you say, the comfort that we have in Europe about your job it's different than here. Here, unfortunately, you never fully win. Like, you know, if you stay back and you're like, man, I got this. This is cool. You get caught. Like, you know, suddenly you realize the company doesn't need you anymore, and that's a tough one, you know. So you always have to reinvent yourself and challenge yourself. You can't really never get too comfortable here.
Well, the pace of business in the United States is so fast, so much faster than Europe. Like I lived in China for 18 years, and then I lived in the Middle East for about 5 years because I was there for most of COVID too. And as I did some time in Switzerland. But yeah, you're right. Like the whole world has a different perspective about like job security than in the United States. Like in the United States, if you're not evolving and changing and creating some dynamic new thing every 12 to 18 months, you're fired.
Suddenly, you become a little bit redundant, right? People are like, well, what is it's tough, you know. In France, and that's why the reason why I left is because I was being asked to find that job. It's like you have to sign what you call a CDI, which is a contract, it's no date on it, right? So we call like a contract and no date on it. I mean, that's it. You set. It's like you find your job, and that's gonna be all your life. And it's very hard to get fired, and unless you did something wrong in most company. I mean, definitely the public company. But it's kind of frightening in a way, because you're like, well, if I get that job, then that's it. That's what I'm gonna do all my life. And for some people, like, I go back home, and some of my friends are like totally okay with that. That's what they've been doing all their life, and I come back in 10 years, that's what they've been doing. You know, like it's totally fine with them. And some people are happy like that. They like the comfort zone.
Yeah.
They don't like to be challenged.
Or from the other perspective, the employers in France,
right?
Like if you fire someone, you have to pay them like a 1 year salary or something.
Yeah. There is a lot more rule to protect the people.
Because I remember I was doing business with someone in France when I was living in China for many years, and his business went through a bit of a downturn, and he had to close his business early because he reached a point where he couldn't afford to fire his staff unless he closed his business like today.
Right.
Because the severance packages for all the staff and paying them 1 year salary after firing them was so massive a cost that he had to close his business like really quickly in order to cover those costs, instead of maybe laying off one or two and then trying to rebuild slowly over a few years and then hiring people back. No, like it was just done.
Yeah, it's tough. There is pro and cons about this thing, right? It's a whole different system. I can say but in a way, that's kind of why the US is doing so well when it comes down to business. I guess it's a different format, but unfortunately, you leave a few people behind because, it's when you're not performing, then this is it.
That's crazy. So how many ambassadors do you have to manage these days?
I have 14 at the moment. And they're all fantastic. I'm very, very fortunate I was able to build that team. Some people started before I took over as a leader of the advocacy program, but other people I was able to hire through that process because I've been doing this now for that leadership role for 4 years. It's a bench of it's a lot of different personality, a lot of charisma. Like I said, they have to be entrepreneur. They have to be very, easygoing. And one part of the hiring process is almost first thing is thinking like, would I sit at the bar with that person for an hour and have a chat and just seeing the time, fly? And that's one of the criteria. And then you look at this and then you want to know, okay, is that person is able to manage a project? Is that person is able to be on the road for so much and still managing everything, like the admin and the project and all that? Like it's quite a demanding role when you always have to be, because you always have to be on, right? Mm-hmm. You can't be an ambassador and walk into a bar or even to the office and be like, fall under the crack or be like in the background. Like, it's not a thing. You always have to be like, you're on. You're the face of the brand. You're like the guy people want to talk to. You're like, you have to be engaging. You have to be willing to speak. So there's no break. You have to be very, it's great though, because if you're that person, a bit extrovert and stuff like that, it's fantastic. Suddenly you get to talk to everybody and be in the style of the show in a way. Mm-hmm.
Extrovert, I think, is the key term you just mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, some people like a little bit introvert, but then they switch on, when they need to, and
a few drinks helps.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that dram is unlocking, different capacity. Saying no, but they are fantastic individuals. So I'm very lucky because when we get together, it's incredible, the energy, the positive energy, and the ideas we come with, and people love. People from the industry often come and see me, and it sounds very cliche, but it's true. It's like, Seb, your team is so amazing. Like Sats and Shad, every time I see them, it's great. And when you guys get together, I can see that the energy is there. And like, it's true though. It's like, it's really the synergy between all of us is great because it's a lot of personality. We're like, it's crazy, big energy. Yeah.
So what does the calendar look like for 2025 for you guys in events?
It's always crazy. You have that buffer of like January and February when you kind of organize a lot of your stuff still, but even that, you still have a sprinkle of events, here and then that's it. The floodgates just open and it's just, it's basically nonstop. Mm-hmm. I had a lady at the office who managed like payrolls and all of that, and she often sent me an email like, Bastien, like, make sure you guys take the holiday. They don't take the holiday. Because we don't have much, like, in the US, it's like, holiday is a gift, right? But it's just no time. It's crazy because we're always on the road, always doing stuff. And I'm like, and sometimes you always almost feel guilty to take a week off because you're like, if I take that week off, then shit not gonna be done. And yeah, but yeah, we bounce around a lot. It's living in the suitcase. It's not. Yeah.
Do you think you and your team are like, you know, like 100, 150 days a year on the road?
Yeah. Easy. Yeah. You get your little app when if you prefer hotels chain or anything like that, you can just watch your miles anyway on the with the airline.
Just go right through the roof.
Yeah. You do 150 easy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing though. I mean, how do your staff manage like having a life or having a family or anything like that?
That's tricky. This your wife or your partner have to be, ready for it. Have to be very, it's tough, because you know at home often, and it's not like but the difference is, you're not leaving for like a month or two, right? It's just, a few days here. So, you get to interact and see your family, but you have to be organized because if you have kids, it's tricky because they want to see you. They need your help. You have to be here to support. And I know that sometimes my wife is like, man, you're back. You do it. Like,
yeah,
it's exhausting.
It is. Yeah. Not easy. I actually, I got to the point, where I was traveling so much, filming and stuff like that I actually preferred going away for like 2-3 weeks at a time, because then you can like really get into it.
Right.
I find the short trips, like 2-3 days, and the short flights, like 3 hours, 4 or 5 hours, those are way more tiring than doing like 12-14 hours.
Yeah. I mean, the whole airport experience and going there, like, the flight is 2-3 hours, but the whole journey to get there and get to destination is actually half a day.
Or more.
Yeah, because it's like getting to the airport and so on. So, yeah, it's like I say, it's not for everybody. So I've seen my fair share of ambassador getting burnt out, and some of them very, very quickly, because you mix this to hanging out in restaurants and bars, and it can escalate very quickly. Your health as well too is taking a toll if you're not diligent with your body and exercising, because a lot of us came from the bar industry where you're on your foot, you're on your feet, 24/7, feels like, and suddenly you're sitting at bars and restaurants. So if you don't do an activities on the side, then you end up like putting on weights, and it's draining. So you have to keep yourself, healthy. It's a key thing.
So are Americans, in your opinion, really embracing like premium alcoholic spirits and drinks? Like, because like, you go to a sporting event in this country, right? It's just all beer.
Yeah.
And beer's fucking awful. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's just, it makes you bloated. It makes you fat. It's a killer. Like, but I mean, do you see like a real uptick in the percentage of Americans that are?
Yeah, it's been a good wave in the luxury world where you can see it's picking up. But again, it's not for everybody, right? It's not everything we do. It's not only about luxury. We do that for single malts. We sell a super premium gin, but no, our entire portfolio is luxury. So you just kind of like
it's all better than beer though.
I mean, for me, I love beer. But I'm with you. Like, living in Australia, I was impressed, like doing the barbecue, they call it, and let's have a barbecue and a couple of beers. What you don't realize is when I mean by a couple of beers, I mean like a couple of cases, and it's just the two of us, right? And you're like, and they're pounding this, like what they call the mid. It's like mid strength, right? So there's not very high in alcohol, so it doesn't, you can have a few of them, you don't get smashed. It's not like you're drinking 8.6, German beer or whatever. But the level of like, it's the same. I've done a third beer, and it's like they open in the fourth one, and I'm like, man, I'm already bloated. Like, I'm not even drunk. I'm like, I can't, it's hard.
That bloating is what kills me, because I grew up in Canada. It's the same thing. Right. Like, everyone drinks beer in Canada. Like, you go to the pub, you watch hockey, you drink beer. Like, that's it. And okay, so now I'm going to tell you my story about how I first got introduced to whiskey. Okay, so I'm in university. I'm like 18 years old. And in Canada, you can drink alcohol at 18. And I was sitting there doing some homework, typing up an essay, I think. And I had a beer on my desk, and I was drinking and typing and drinking and typing, and had a long day. It was in the evening. And and the senior student on the floor, who's usually like a PhD student, and I was a freshman. Like he or she has like an apartment on the floor, and it's kind of like a common room too. You can go in, and if you're having problems, you can talk to them, and they'll give you some advice and stuff like that. So they really play like an older brother or older sister role for the floor, like when you're in residence at university. So and in the University of Toronto, like they call them Dons, the people on the floor. So my Don was Robbie Butler. So Robbie was from Scotland. He was a PhD student in the classics, right? So he was really big on philosophy and stuff like this. So I'm sitting there doing an essay, drinking like a Labatt Blue or something, which is a terrible Canadian beer. And he goes, "Hey, Rye, what are you drinking?" And I go, "Oh, just a beer." And he goes, "Do you like it?" And I go, it's okay. It's beer, right? Like it's all I can afford, basically, like just shitty student beer. Yeah. And he goes, "Hey, come by my place in a bit, in 5 minutes, and I'll introduce you to something." And I said, "Great, no problem." So I finished my work, finished my beer, go down to his place, and we sit down. And he goes, "Look, I know you like beer, but I can tell you're into something else. Like I can tell I'm gonna elevate your palate a little bit here." And he pulled out a Glenfiddich 12.
Oh, nice.
And he goes, "Look, this, I'm from Scotland. I love single malt whiskey. This is what I drink, in the evenings and stuff like that." And I swear to God, it was amazing. And from that moment on, maybe like a few months after that, like I never drank beer again. Yeah. And I've basically been drinking single malt Scottish whiskey since then. Exclusively. Yeah. Gin and tonic if it's fucking crazy hot out. But I mean, single malt whiskey does not taste good if it's hot.
Well, it depends, but yeah, no, it doesn't.
But a gin and tonic on a hot day is magic. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Glenfiddich 12. Yeah. There you go. I wish I was that lucky. My first whiskey experience was not that high quality, I have to say. It was mixed with Cork, probably in a nightclub, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it was a blended scotch of some sort. Cheap stuff.
Yeah, tough one.
Yeah, something that, you wake up in the morning and when you try it first, you're like, "Oh man, I don't even know if I like this, but we're here to party," right? So you're like, yeah.
Magic. So, I mean, what does it feel like to be kind of responsible for the entire U.S. market of these William and Grant Son brands?
Yeah, it's
a big job.
It's a big job, but you have there's a lot of people, in this thing. I'm managing the advocacy program, which means I'm looking after the ambassador and I'm looking after some of the major portfolio events that we do. But there is a lot of people working, with me on the brand team and working with agency and stuff like that. So for me, mostly it's about, when we look at the industry, right, we divided this in 4 audiences. So you have your PR and your social media, you have your consumer, you have your on-trade, and you have internal people. So, even internally, you have to be the face of the brand and the educator and the entertainer. And so my role is to make sure that all those 4 categories are covered by my team and that we separate our time wisely in those 4 audiences according to the brand plan and all that. So, mostly looking after the on-trade. I do less and less consumer events now. It's mostly focusing on the on-trade because my team is mostly focusing on the on-trade. Mm-hmm. And I do partnership with bar owners, and stuff like that to create new experiences and bring the brand to life, because the tasting is great. You can bring your best whiskey, or, you can make great gin and tonic or like that, but you have to bring something else to the table now, because like I say, not only consumer are more educated, but bartender as well too. Like, it's a whole different game now. They're super advanced. Like, the quality of the cocktails, you can see it in bars now across the country. It's amazing. So if you want to attract those people to come to your events and try your product and actually experience what you do, you have to come up with some super cool idea, because a tasting is not going to cut it anymore. It has to be something else. So that's our goal, to be creative and to bring, a new little, spark of magic to something which can be as simple as a dinner or a tasting. I know it sounds weird saying it like that, but it's true. You have to bring people to a place now. You have to be very creative. Otherwise, people won't show up.
Do you do anything in golf?
We do with the whiskey, yeah, a little bit. But even that, I'm terrible at golf. I play once in Australia, and I think I spend more time in the bushes trying to find my balls than just anything else. It's quite funny.
I think I play like once a year with my dad. Yeah.
but I see people who play golf and then they love it. They worship the sport, and then it looks amazing. But again, that's an example. Like that's almost like whiskey and golf, almost too easy, right? So you have to find other route to talk to other people, because you always have to widen your nets, right? To look at with Glenfiddich, because we being so pioneer into like, you know, so many things when it comes to cast finishing and stuff like that. We were looking at collaboration with other people like artists and you know, from anything from shoemaker to clothing to, you know, to musicians. So you always try to widen your net and just to reach different audience. That's a goal ultimately. Is you need to be able to reach more people every time, because you can't just, otherwise you're not talking to yourself.
I love this. So I was chatting with the Balvenie marketing team in Scotland a few years back, and we were trying to do a project together. It didn't work out in the end, but the marketing director at the time, I think he's gone now, I can't remember his name offhand, but it was during COVID.
Yep.
So I was stuck in Istanbul, and I was planning to do all these shoots in Europe afterwards, and I was trying to bring on sponsors and try to find all these things. And Balvenie was going to help out with something, and then it didn't work out, which is fine. That happens all the time. But the marketing director was amazing, because he knew how hard it was for me to get out of Turkey and out of Istanbul and into Switzerland. And we had this project where I was going to walk across Switzerland.
Yeah.
So it was like 400 kilometers. We were going to do it in 20 days, and there's 20 stages. So you walk from Liechtenstein all the way to Lake Geneva.
Wow.
And you go all through the mountains. It's spectacular. The route is called the Via Alpina. And when we showed up at the hotel, we had a case of 12
nice.
Balvenie. I think it was level with 14 Caribbean cask.
Oh, the 14 Caribbean cask. Oh, nice.
Yeah. So they hooked us up, and that, I mean, I'd like to say that it lasted the whole trip. It didn't last the whole trip, but it lasted a couple days.
That's good.
We had a big crew.
Yeah.
But no, they were amazing, because, you know, after being out in the mountains after a long day, like sitting down watching the sunset, kicking back with a drink.
It's good, you see, and a skew like that, like the 14 years old Caribbean cask, it still surprised so many people. And that's to go back to the point, was like you always have to widen your net. You don't never think, you know, when you're in marketing, like, you know, I depend on the marketing department. The thing we tend to do, because you cannot bias, right? It's your product. You've been working on it for so long, and you see you branding all the time. So you think everyone know about my brand, but really when you go on the ground and you start talking to people, still so many people don't know about Balvenie, right? For example,
how many people mix up William Grant and Sons with Diageo?
Oh man, this and Glenlivet and Glenfiddich, they can't even pronounce it. It doesn't matter. It's the thing that you realize people don't know. They just they have so much to choose from, and you know, they mean well, but it's you. So you always have to work on your product. You always have to work on reaching out to people, on your branding, on sharing, and it's like you know, liquid to lips, right? If you don't try it, then you don't know how good it is. But I'm glad the 14 years old help you out through that journey.
It was amazing.
That's a good dream. Yeah,
it's a beautiful and so one of the things we always used to do too is every time I would make a TV show with my guys, my camera crew. So it was the three of us always traveling around the world. It was amazing. Myself and Chad and Jesse and sometimes Daniel. But I would make flasks.
Yeah.
So I would put the name of the series on it and what season we were in and their name. But of course we worked together for like 10 years and we made so many TV shows. So we all had like 10 flasks, like from all the shows, but we would load up all the flasks, like with usually Glenfiddich 12. We would load up the flasks and then bring the flasks with us. So like we would walk across a desert, you know, for 140 kilometers for 10 days or 12 days. And we'd have water, obviously, food, and then we'd have our flasks. And in the evening, after like walking for, you know, 10 or 20 kilometers, you know, getting to camp, having some food, sitting down by the fire, watching the sunset on the desert, and we were just sipping on our flasks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place, you know, to enjoy, you know, fine whiskey, and that's the best when you put the effort into your day and you sit down. I mean, and in places like that, it's adventure, right? And you're exhausted, and suddenly you find yourself in a place of comfort. And drinking one of those drinks.
Well, you know where I got that idea from?
Which
it was Hemingway.
Oh, yeah.
So Ernest Hemingway, he has this beautiful book. I can't remember the name. Blanking out. Every time I want to come up with a great quote or something, I lose it.
Yeah.
But he has this in one of his books. He's on the plains of Africa in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And he's hunting, right? and he has this, and he writes it beautifully that he's hunting, and he settles for the end of the day. They set up camp, and he sips on a single malt, in the shadows of Kilimanjaro, in the plains of Tanzania, and it's just like, yeah, that's exactly where we all deserve to be drinking fine whiskey.
He's been an inspiration for the bartenders as well too. The Hemingway daiquiri was named after him. He obviously used to do a lot of trip in Cuba back in the days, and that was one of his drink of choice. Strong drinks, by the way.
Yeah.
But when it's made right, it's delicious. Yeah.
I've always found, so like a lot of people don't know this. So when David was on the show a couple months ago, he brought in like an 18-year-old Glenfiddich, which was lovely.
Nice.
But then he brought in some casks that hadn't matured yet. So they were like proofs, and they were kind of like experiments. So we kind of went through a few of them, and one of them was like 55% alcohol. So we got a little toasty towards the end of it, but it was great because we were kind of tasting, like trying to figure out what tastes were in all the different whiskeys and stuff like that. It was great.
He's good for that because you got access to the stuff I don't get access to anymore because he's directly talking to the distiller all the time. So you get those samples, like tasting samples.
Yeah,
I don't get some of those. Unfortunately, I have to go and buy my own whiskey these days. But it's good. I'll have to bring you. I'll find something special for you though.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah. I'll bring it over. Yeah, definitely.
So what is the next? So we're just entering, this fourth quarter. We're just entering kind of the Christmas season. Like, what is the William Grant & Sons? What does your schedule look like for the next kind of 3 months?
At that stage, it's just wrapping up the year. It's for me again working a lot with the on trade. It's so much you can do until November, and then you hit Thanksgiving, and then before you know it, it's holiday parties. So nobody want to talk to you anymore. So which kind of like. We're wrapping up the year and working on 2025 as we speak. It would be like a few events here and there, but like for the whiskey people, that's your peak season. But that's where you come and support your account. Maybe try to do a few extra dinners or like smaller event here and then. But if you run a bar or restaurant, in December, it's like it's books, it's holiday parties. So they don't want to talk to you anymore. Which is fine. Just give us a little break, and then we see each other in 2025. Yeah, the major work is not done, and now it's about getting ready for 2025.
So, what's the biggest event on the books for 2025? If you're allowed to tell me, is it one of the F1 events?
It will be some F1.
Vegas is soon, right? Isn't the Vegas F1 like next week?
Vegas is soon. Yeah, we don't get involved in that one directly though, because it's a different way. They do the distribution and the sponsorship.
Vegas is insane, anyways. It's not new.
Yeah, Miami for me. I was blowing away how fun it was. It was just simply fun. They do that on the weekend. Obviously it's a nice day, as it often is in Miami at that time of the year in particular, because it's hot, but it's not crazy hot, and it was just so much fun. They turned this into a bit of a party, maybe too much of a party, with like the real Formula One hardcore will tell you, well, people come here and they don't watch the race, they come for I was like, yeah,
that's Miami.
It's fine. Yeah, you still can see the car running around, but yeah, a lot of people are here to have fun, and it's incredible. Formula One, it's good.
I've only been to one F1 race in my whole life, and it was two. I went to the very first F1 race in Shanghai, China, which I think has now been discontinued. And I covered it for one of the newspapers in the U.S. back in the day. I was a photographer back in the day,
right.
And that was a lot of fun. And then I went to during COVID, I went to one of the Abu Dhabi races because I couldn't travel. So,
right.
And I was doing not much, so I went to the Abu Dhabi F1, which was amazing. And that was the one. That was the year when Hamilton lost to Verstappen, right in the last lap.
Yeah, the first time. Yeah, he finally lost his title. It's crazy because my son is looking at Formula One through the Netflix documentary, and he's a big fan actually. But for me, when I grew up, because I grew up in south of France, you just grew up watching Formula One because it's there, because it's on TV, and it was the Monaco race, and we have the Paul Ricard, and I saw, I grew up watching Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, fighting with each other, and unfortunately Ayrton Senna had a tragedy, but it's mind-blowing now to see how far they came. The brand Formula One was now reaching America and all that. Like it's crazy.
Well, the whole expansion into the United States was completely driven by Netflix.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like Miami Vegas, and what's the third one? Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all driven by the Netflix series.
Yeah. That's insane.
Best marketing plan ever.
I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I give them, credit here for creating like a whole new level of like energy behind. I wouldn't say Formula One was kind of like dying, but he was slowing down. Like he was getting a little bit old and a little bit like, even if you beside you were from Europe, then I don't know who else was kind of following the sport in a big scale like that. But now it's crazy. He picked up very quickly in the US.
Well, I think it became really boring because Lewis Hamilton was just winning all the time.
As well. Yeah.
And then the Netflix show came out and it kind of dramatized it, and you learn more, and you meet their girlfriends, their wives, and your families, and all this shit, and then you figure out
all that inside story, right? It's just like, ooh, what's juicy details, and But it's funny because now people are like, well, I was a Formula One fan before Netflix. I'm like, it's fine. It's not a competition anyway. You can still be a Formula One fan. Like it's just bring more people to the sport, which is probably good for you anyway, because then there's more things happening and everybody is happy. So it's not because you were watching the sport before that, it makes you like less than a fan than the people joining now. And I think, and any activities like, marketing is important because you keep the dream alive in branding in a way. You have to always, like I say, reinvent yourself and find something new. And I think Formula One did a great job with that because now they had that new energy and that they went to reach out to a wider audience, which is why they picked different location. And now in Middle East as well too, they're pretty well developed. They just reach out.
It's amazing, isn't it?
To reach sport though, it's expensive to go in there and
it is.
Enough.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end. I know you got to run. Okay, you've worked 12 months. You've worked your ass off. You've done all the events. You've managed all your ambassadors. You've managed all your brands. You're sitting, it's like, late December. You've done all your work for the year. You're sitting on a balcony in a hotel looking out over the ocean somewhere. Maybe California, maybe Florida, who cares where it.
Yep.
What are you sipping on?
Ooh. What am I sipping on? It would be two options here, I have to say, but honestly, I'm still, there's something around, okay, we talk about the dream and enjoying it around the fire and stuff like that. So, if you have described this differently and tell me you be in the mountain, you had a big day skiing, it will be a dream. But at the end of the year, when I've, like, the way you describe it, it will be a martini.
Nice.
Because there is something very ceremonial around the martini and even making it, right? Like the stirring process, the dilution, the ratio, you pick your gin, you pick your vermouth. Am I going to go for olives or lemon peel? And there's these choices that you can make to make it different. But then, pouring it, it's, for me, the martini, even watching a bartender making it, I enjoy almost looking at him making it and then drinking it. It's a ceremony surrounding the martini, and it's just fantastic. It's just a clean and enjoyable cocktail. It's the king of cocktail, the martini. So I will have to go for a martini.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way you described that.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
I'd love to learn how to like make some drinks and mix some drinks just because I never had that education. And during COVID, like I had a few friends that like took full on bartender courses.
Right. I'm telling you, like some consumer now are so well educated about, oh no, I'm not doing like that. But I'm like, yeah, I read that recipe. I'm like, this is great. I mean, it's good for the industry because then they push you to be better, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, you could making a martini, if you look at the recipe and the method, is very simple. But I can tell you there is so many ways to get it wrong, from the glassware you pick and how do you chill your glass, the ice you pick, like what kind of ice you're using, how long you're diluting it. Like I had very bad martinis in my career, which is almost make me sad because I'm like, it's such a beautiful thing and you just screw it.
Yeah. I think you still have to reach out to Bruce Willis and his team and fix that one drink that he at Nobu.
The Grey Goose and spray. Spray of what? Well, I don't know. Spray of love on that one.
Well, beautiful. Well, look, I know you got a busy day. Thank you so much for. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Or
no. I mean, a pleasure. Thank you for having me here. It's good to meet you and I know you. I'm fascinated by people who go and explore. And you've done so many incredible, travel and I envy that because I think traveling it's such a rich things you can do, like rich also in a sense of money. It's like for your soul,
spiritual.
enriching and spiritual that meeting the people, getting there, traveling. I mean, it really wide your horizon and your mindset. And I think, you know, more people should do that beside, like I say, I know I went to, you know, Mexico in a resort. I'm like, that's not what I mean. It's like actually going and experience the country and deep dive. The biggest trip I ever done like that in my life will be Venezuela for a month. I traveled with my flatmate from London, who was from Maracaibo, and that was mind-blowing. And since then, I want to do that again and again. So thank you for bringing these to people to make them realize, like, you got to travel more. You're going to see the world. It's such an amazing place.
I hope so. And I think, you know, it's funny, but the healthiest I've ever felt, physically and mentally, was 2019, where we were doing a show for Discovery Channel called Expedition Asia. And we did 10 expeditions. Each expedition was 2 weeks long. We did 10 expeditions in 10 months in 10 countries.
Yeah.
So my guys and I, we filmed 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for 10 straight months. And we had an amazing editor, Zach Romeo, who did the post-production on that and helped me edit the whole thing. And I think that year I slept 150 nights in a tent.
Yeah.
So sleeping outside, going to bed with the rhythm of the earth, waking up with the rhythm of the earth, no digital distraction, no artificial light, none of this garbage, sleeping outside, tent, sleeping bag. And that is the healthiest and happiest I think I've been in a long time.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming soon in 2025.
Oh, God, game off. Let's do it. This is a good plug.
It's a good plan. Okay, so now we go up here to the big one where people can see this is not a Zoom call. We're in the same room.
Yep.
Great to fucking meet you.
Hey, pleasure, man.
Let's stay in touch.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Done.